Hi, this is Freya from Otherworldly, and today we are taking a look at the fantastic Teeglepet Pegasus, which is a brand new release at the Fantasy Faire 2020. I already showed a little bit of him in my first post from the fair, where I had him positioned on the various Fantasy Faire sims and took snaps of him flying and grazing and so on. But that was mostly to show the fair sims with a little bit of a twist. So today I want to take a closer look at the Pegasus itself. I've of course shown a lot of Teeglepet horses already, and last year they released Unicorn for the Fantasy Faire. So this is the second mythical horse, and he's obviously a little bit different than the other horses, since they can all fly, but he's got the wings and some extra abilities that I will be showing you on the HUD. But I thought I would start here on the ground, safely on the ground, because I haven't quite gotten the hang of the whole flying thing yet. I have gotten myself a cheap little camera HUD, which I hope will make it a little easier to get some nice shots, so that you're not just seeing the tail flying around all the time. But we will see what I can manage. First, I just want to introduce the Pegasus to you. And he is called Mythos by default. I'm just going to show you what you get in the box. It's the basic stuff that you get. You get your management HUD, your writing system. He's of course available as either copy or no copy. I've got the no copy version. And you get a black plier and a white plier. Same as with the unicorn, you get two different color pliers included with these special horses. I used the white plier for the initial shots, and here I decided to go with the black plier because I have also fixed up his wings a little special. And I'm going to show you that in a moment as well. I have got the Tutu e Vanita Pegasus Devil Batwing pack, and I'm wearing the black bat wings. I'm gonna see if I can get you a better look at these. The sim is a little bit laggy, of course, so camming is a bit dodgy, but as you can see, he's changed from the feathery wings to the bat wings. I suppose I could do a quick view of if it works here on the sim, but I think it will. There we go. If it loads, yes, there you are. These are the default feathery wings. Look lovely. But if you want something a little more sinister, perhaps, you go and apply these bat wings, which give a leathery look and the spiky edges and so on. They are available, as you can see, in multiple colors in this pack. I also ended up purchasing a pack of wing appliers so that you can have different colors, and there are already several skins out for the Pegasus specifically that include wing appliers. Teagle has 3 in their store at the fair, and several other creators have also added wing packs, so there's plenty of choice already. Accessories, there's not that many out yet, but one that came out today, which is actually not from the fair, but I caught it on the Teagle Discord. Let's see if I can get this focused. Is, whoops, not always that easy. And it's a little bit laggy. But there we go. You can get a better look at it. It is a Roman style bridle, and it's from Prismatic Raven. Unfortunately, it is just in this leather color, but I really wanted to have a classic bridle for the Pegasus, since well, the whole story of the taming of the Pegasus, of course, is the using the golden bridle from Athena, so that he can be controlled, since he was flying free and not wanting to be mastered by anyone. This Pegasus is perhaps a little more tractable than the mythological version. Despite his bat wings, he seems to be hanging out happily with me here. I'm using, as you can see, the lead horse option here because I can't res items at the Fantasy Fair, so he's currently attached. I'm riding with the attached option, and to be able to stand on the side and show you things without me being mixed up with a horse, I'm using the lead option, even though of course I don't have a lead robe on, because I did want to give you a quick look at what I am wearing as well. To start with, I've got these fantastic boots from Lassitude and Ennui. They are also for the Fantasy Fair. The very skimpy little chainmail bikini is also by Lassitude, but it is an older release, so it is not from the Fantasy Fair. On the other hand, my jewelry set is from Blinsen and Mai Tai, and it is for the Fantasy Fair. It comes in 4 different metal options. I'm wearing the silver here to go with the steel of the rest of the outfit. And then I've got this really cool tattoo set, which I thought was suitable for riding around on a bat-winged Pegasus. It is from Anteater Emporium. And if those wings could just disappear for a moment, I could actually show them to you. There we go. It is called Warded, and it is a bunch of symbols and text. Quite magical, obviously. It's available in ink, henna, and tintable, and I thought that was a very neat touch for this sort of look. And finally, I have one of Wasabi's 2 new hairs for the Fantasy Fair on. This one comes in 2 options in terms of how you have your the braids and the bangs. This is the windswept or all swept to the side option, and again, if you're up flying, that seemed like a good choice. But there's a regular with straighter bangs and straight braids as well. So that, I think, goes over what I am wearing and what my little Pegasus here is wearing that isn't default. So next up, we are going to get on the Pegasus, but I'm also going to pull out this hood cam and attach that one first, which is going to allow me to more easily switch positions from where the camera is filming, and also being able to track me when I'm moving, because believe me, that's not always easy when you're flying. There we are on top of our Pegasus, and I'm going to start by discussing a tiny anatomical problem. You see, horses weren't designed to have wings. I absolutely love how the Pegasus looks. There is something really stirring and mythical about seeing it. I've actually been quite fascinated by just watching it in the last few days when I've had it here. It really sparks a response with me, and I understand why people imagined a horse with wings. There's something really amazing about it. Not quite sure what it is, but it is very cool. There are, of course, problems with it if you think about it from a purely anatomical perspective and a sort of, creature design perspective. Horses are mammals. Mammals generally are 4-legged. The wings are arms, really. So now we have a 6-legged creature, and it would need a very different muscle and construction and all these things. I'm not at all really talking yet about the idea of carrying something, the wings being able to carry something as solid as a horse. You have the same problem with the dragons, of course, but just from a pure construction perspective, that's a funny anecdote there is that George R. R. Martin, the writer of A Song of Ice and Fire, he was adamant that his dragons are not insects, so they have two back legs, and then they have front legs to which the wings are attached. So they are proper, not mammals, I guess, because they do lay eggs, but they don't have any extra limbs, at least. And of course, these you would have needed that, I guess, on a horse, attaching the wings to the front legs somehow, which I don't really see. You'd have to change the whole construction, because obviously the dragon, when you do that, they move in a very different way when they're on the ground. And if you want to ride a horse the way it is normally ridden, it would not work to have wings on the legs. So anyway, we are talking about something very mythical, and we will just have to assume the wings work. This is probably more than you wanted to hear about wings. And I'm not an expert either, but I do know it gets complicated. But from a purely visual perspective in Second Life, or really if you were riding a winged horse in real life, if you had one, where do you put your legs? As you can see, there are actually options here. I've currently got mine in the down position, and I'm a little further back on the Pegasus's back. And that works pretty well, I think. Although you will see that there is a little breakthrough here. So when you're riding the Pegasus, he or she is not going to be able to put the wings down quite the way it usually does. So it seems like you're going to be a little bit in the way. Plus, you're probably going to get a bit chafed from having the wings flap against you. There are other options. You could have the legs more forward, which visually, at least when you're on the ground, looks fine, but once the wings start flapping, I'm not sure you would be staying put. Any too much movement there, and it seems dangerous. I mean, it's not going through, so the choice is good from sort of a rigging and construction point of view. I could see the forward option for flying. You can also have more of a chair seat, really, but this one I have a hard time seeing how it works either in flight or when you're on the ground. You're going to have your leg on top of the wings, and unless they are very, very sturdy, that seems like it could damage them. Finally, this is the adventurous option. The very adventurous, I suppose. Riding a Pegasus would be considered adventurous in general. Kneeling on top of the horse. This is probably, from the Pegasus's perspective, the most likely to allow for flight as usual. I would want something fairly substantial to hold on to, preferably something to glue my butt to, if I were to opt for this variant. But it is doable, and one could perhaps consider a harness that goes under the wing, or maybe some loops around the neck that you could fasten yourself to. Similar problems are, of course, relevant when you're talking about flying dragons, but there you generally have more bulk to sit on, so being able to have some kind of harness rigged without being in the way of the wings is probably easier. None of this should be construed as any critique towards Teagle as such. There's obviously, constructing a mythological animal, there are going to be things that don't necessarily work as expected, and I find it incredibly cool that it has been done, and obviously there are these options for the legs, and I just find it interesting to discuss what would actually be feasible. if you were to have a flying horse. And yes, as you could tell, I would really like one, even if I'm afraid of heights, and I would probably never ever get on one, but they do look cool. Anyway, I'm going to just go over to the flying section, I think, because there's not much point showing you the different fly options or hover options while I'm standing on the ground. Like I noted earlier, I have the horse attached rather than rest, and I believe there are some slight differences in how it behaves in both riding and flight when you have it rest contra when you have it riding it as an attachment. So you may not get exactly the same result as I'm going to be showing here if you use the horse rest. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down page up, which is going to launch me into the air, and as you see, the camera switches to behind, so we're going to see if my little HUD can help here. And I'm going to try the driving view. I'm also going to escape out to make sure I don't have it zoomed in. So now I've got a nice top-down view, which is going to show me very nicely where I'm flying and so on. It is, on the other hand, not going to show me the hover differences, so I'm going to see if I can just swing around a little carefully and give you a look at that. There we are, very nicely posed. This is one of the hover options. Animations do have a habit of unsyncing after a while. You can switch between the hover options to fix that. This is the second, which is more sort of a horsey position. But I do like the drama of this reared up, as if you're coming in for an attack. Then I'm going to use the camera to go back again to the rear view. No, sorry, not the rear view, because that's the one that's tricksy, the overhead. And cam out. Let me see. There we go. You can also use the zoom, which is what I'm gonna do to get a sense of how I'm doing this. Oops, there's the sim border. There's a tower that I just flew into. I was going to do a nice little circling of that tower. As you can see, I have it mixed between flap and glide. Let's see if I put it to just flap, what will happen. Oops, fortunately that... okay, you flap when you're not going... I'll try and fly around this tower here. Whee! So you don't flap when you turn, of course. You glide then. So let's see if I turn it into entire glide flight, what happens there. Oops. Try not to fly out on the... There we go. We just glide like that, no flapping. I like both, I think, to get a variation. Hopefully I haven't run over any people in my novice flying attempts. I'm also going to take a look here at the camera options. You can opt between fixed and tracking. Let me see. We have... oh, right, we actually went for the overhead rather than the driving, which was what I meant to do. Here we go. That's better. Let's see if I can manage to... I appear to have misplaced myself a little bit, but there we go. The circling is improving. I also appear to have misplaced my horse. There we go. Bear in mind I'm at the Fantasy Faire, so you are going to get some lag. This would be a lot easier if I was doing it at home. But then again, I wouldn't have these beautiful buildings to zoom around if I was doing it at home. So there's a nice shot. Very pretty. And let's try and see what happens if we fly onto another Let's see. Oh, so far so good. I think I'm still with me. Yep, I am. This, I believe, is the Fair Junction, yes. So I'm gonna just zoom over it, go a little higher up so that I don't risk landing. You'll see that kind of galloping in the air. Oops, there's the edge again. Whee. This is kind of fun. I could have a lot of fun with that, definitely. Let's see, what else do we have? We have a low camera. That gets a little weird. When flying a horse, I think. I can get a sense of what the hooves are doing, but that's probably not the most informative. Rear view, I know the instructions were basically that it's kind of difficult because it's supposed to be having the horse come at you. And there we go. There we go. But it tends to break if you zoom out. And if you use escape. So I'm going to go back to the driving view, which seems to be the most useful when it comes to the horse. You can also, with this little 10L HUD, by the way, you can set your own preset, do a custom one. I haven't fiddled a lot with it yet. I would need to figure out what is the best option. If you recall, I think it's in my last video, I showed the dressage system from Mythos for the Teagle horse, and that has a camera HUD included, but that one depends on the dressage system being installed, so I wasn't able to use that for the horse. That had a lot of interesting options. I like the idea of basically being able to set up custom ones for the horses, because it does, driving any vehicle, I've never really sailed or driven any other vehicles in SL, so I didn't realize how difficult it can get to film that if you don't have some sort of camera options. So playing around with this is definitely going to be necessary. There are some settings here as well for how tight or loose you want to follow. I think for flying they tend to suggest loose, actually, but we'll see what happens if I go in. If I can make it a little better. It's a little difficult when the lag means that you disappear occasionally. I think loose is probably going to be easier for most flying. And like I said, we'll stick with driving. You can then go in and tweak some of these, but I think we'll leave the fiddling with that, and then for now, and then I'm going to try and do a quick little fly around of the Fairlands, and we will see how that goes. So here we go. I'm going to try and not land on anyone. I think we are on. I decided to take off the HUD and also the user interface to try and show you things more cleanly. So I'm not going to be able to quickly say which sim we're on. And we are going to get a little lagged at times, I see. I'm probably also going to get somebody seasick with my steering. Here at least we're coming onto Zodiac. I recognize that. Take a little pause here to let the horse catch up with me. Wherever wherever I am. Oh, there I am. Look. That looks pretty impressive. Wow. I really like actually on the wind light putting up the gamma a bit to get some of the detail, because the black horses can be a little dense otherwise, but it looks nice like this. And then we go and escape out again, and we fly across. Onto the next sim. I think we need some altitude before we end up landing by mistake. I'm not sure which one this is. They all look very pretty though when you do it in this light. They look very pretty from the sky. But I think we can safely say that I'm not going to be making any advanced flying macadamias anytime soon. At least not in a laggy environment. I'm still quite impressed though that it works as well as Animesh does, really. Here we are at the steampunk sim, Oxentios Pass, built by Contraption, I think it is. Got some snowy sections here that are pretty cool. This would be Mistakes Were Made, which hasn't quite progressed yet. Give myself some altitude and give it a moment. The mistiness of the wind light setting does make everything look nice and smooth, even if it isn't fully rezzed. And speaking of wind light, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with Eep. Although I hear you have to reload basically all your wind light settings, and they aren't going to be quite the same. But I saw some photos that I think were created with Eep, and it looked fantastic. Eep is Enhanced Environment Protocol, I believe, which is now out in the regular SL viewer, but not in Firestorm yet, and I just can't deal with the regular viewer. Here we have a forest that is not inclined to load right now. There we go. And a bunch of spires for me to fly into. I'm starting to get a hang of this though. I'm not crashing nearly as much as I was before, or maybe that was famous last words. I think we just knocked into that spire there, but... And some more altitude. I think my Pegasus is getting a little tired. I wonder if this is Siren's Lore. Maybe. Oops, there you go. And then we've got the massive Snakies, which is on it's either the art gallery or the entertainment sim. I'm gonna fly up and say hello to them. There we are, finally up at the top. Let's see if I can manage to zoom around these. I'm gonna zoom straight into the dragon instead. There we go. Oops, a horn. And now I have lost entirely track of where I was. No, that's where I came from. We will be continuing this way, I think. And let's dive down a little bit. Ooh! Watch that horse dive. Here is, of course, Melusina's Depths, which is underwater, and we can't fly under. Well, we can sort of swim down, but believe me, I will not be able to navigate at all there, so we're skipping that part. We are instead flying on to the next sim. If we can manage to get in. flanking the other way and flying straight into a mountain. It's very this is, I think, where we have the party boat, the fair trial with the dragon, which I'm probably going to be flying into, because these clouds are actual objects. And I think we probably just passed straight through the dragon or something. And here, no, this is Siren's Lure, I think, yes. Not sure what it was that we passed through earlier. It's obviously got a similar color, everything, when you use this kind of preset, and now I lost myself again. There are some very beautiful spots where I would love to be able to photo this Pegasus, but of course they are only around for the fair, and once the fair is gone, it would be much easier when it's not shopping around. Then the fair is not going to be gone. Oh, the fair is going to be gone. I'm definitely rambling now. It's a little difficult to concentrate on the steering and actually getting something useful said at the same time. I think we are getting close to having covered the Sims, maybe. Yeah, I lost myself. Oh, there I am. Oops, a little spring back. And I'm flying on nothing, and then I'm back on the horse again. Which direction am I going? Definitely up, or I'm going to be landing on somebody's roof. And I think we are back, aren't we, where we started? On Agra Adara. Yes, I recognize the towers over there. That's where we started trying to fly around. So obviously, please do take this flying experience as very dependent on a novice flyer. I am sure you can learn to fly the Teeglepet Pegasus much better than what I could do here. But I'm not very good at that whole keyboard control of things. I was terrible when I attempted the game, and I am terrible now. But I think it's a lot of fun. Obviously, it's ideal if you have Sims that you can fly around across multiple Sims. Now, how did I disappear there? Oh, because I'm much higher up than I expected. There I am, looking fantastic, way above everything, and the beautiful sky behind me. Really nice. So yes, with a little practice, I'm sure you can do much better. And the Pegasus is, I think, a must-have if you have other Teagle horses. And as noted in the chat, the Discord chat, when the Pegasus was released, you can safely set him to wander your sim. He will not fly away. He only wanders on the ground. Otherwise, well, you'd be having free-flying Pegasuses all over the grid. That's it for this one. It's probably come out a little longer than I intended, but I hope you've gotten a sense of what you can do with your Pegasus and some other things that you can buy for it, because there's lots of cool new things, and a lot of them are available at the fair. There will be more stuff from the Fantasy Faire, of course, and maybe some more video if I have time, so stay tuned to Otherworldly. Until then.